This is Miss Albright, and this is a short lesson on how to punctuate direct quotes that you get from an interview. So let's say I did an interview, and my interviewee said, "I am the greatest." I want to put this in my paper. To show that I'm using someone else's words and that it's a direct quote from my interviewee, I put this entire sentence in quotes. The quotation marks go outside of the period. Quote, "I am the greatest, period," end quote. If I want to add "she said" at the beginning, "she said I am the greatest," I need a comma after "she said" to separate this, the dialogue tag, from the quote itself. She said, comma, space, quote, "I am the greatest, period," end quote. If I'd like to put "she said" at the end, what I have to do is I have to turn that period into a comma. So it goes, "I am the greatest, comma, end quote, space, she said," period. I do this because I want to show that this entire thing, the quote and the dialogue tag, are part of one thought. The exception to this happens if I'm using an exclamation point or a question mark. So let's say she said, "I am the greatest," and I need an exclamation point to show the tone of voice that she had when she spoke. "I am the greatest!" exclamation point. I keep the exclamation point there. Now let's say she said, "I am the greatest," with a question mark. I keep the question mark there so that you can tell it's a question. But if it's just, "I am the greatest, period," it turns into a comma when I have this dialogue tag at the end. That way I can tell the whole thing is one thought, one sentence. Now if I want to put the "she said" in the middle, what I do, I turn this back into an ending with a period. I say, "I am, comma, quotation mark, space, she said, comma, space, quotation mark, the greatest." I set off my dialogue tag, which is in the middle. I set it off with commas. The first comma goes inside the quotes. "I am, comma, quotation mark." And then the second comma goes before the next set of quotes. "She said, comma, space, quote, the greatest." You might have noticed that in all my examples, I was using said. She said, comma, "I am the greatest." If I use said over and over and over again in my interviews, it's going to get very boring when you're reading my paper. So I could look for more words for said. I can use my resources on the internet. I open up a new tab and I Google other words for said. And if you see, I scroll down, I have all these options. Other words for said. 218 words used instead of said. 550 alternative words for said. Lots of choices here. Let's say I open this first one. Maybe not the most beautiful website, but look at all these choices. Grunted. "I am the greatest," she grunted. "I am the greatest," she lied. "I am the greatest," she moaned. So by choosing the appropriate word here, I'm using diction, I'm using word choice in order to convey the voice of my speaker. So let's say I want to say that she said, "I am the greatest," she roared. She roared, "I am the greatest." Now you have a much clearer idea of what she sounded like when she was speaking. Maybe I'd even make this an exclamation point. So that's how you punctuate your direct quotes, and a hint about how you can use your resources to improve your diction. If you have any questions, make sure that you use your resources, you use technology, you use your peers, and you ask your teacher for help.